Hello, welcome to the Four Direction. I'm your host, Mary Apollo. And in today's episode, we have a special guest. She's a social justice activist and award-winning journalist, and she's a human rights advocate. She's from Uganda. That's Atuhaire, and she was also one of the awardee of Women of Courage Award 2024 by the State Department. Welcome, Agatha.
Thank you, Mary. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much. So first, tell me, how is Uganda?
Uganda is fine.
Oh,
Well, I hope you can still hear me. Or I thought I'd lost you.
yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. Then it starts by you. You say that we have the work have to be done, whatever it costs, for the better or for our community. Where did that passion of change and working for the community come to you from?
I didn't get you clearly on the last part of the question.
Yeah, just going back, you have said that is the work that you are doing for other, for the community, and there is a work have to be done. Where is the passion of working for the community and bringing change come to you from?
It's hard to know where exactly it came from, but I think looking at my background, where I grew up, we can get a bit of an idea of where it comes from, or maybe I was born that way, and those circumstances just emboldened me or made that passion stronger. But yeah, I was born in a family that had a lot of violence. But not just my family, a whole village that was full of violence, especially against women. Women being chased out of their homes by their husbands at will. So I grew up thinking that I need to play a role in mainly empowering women, but also bringing people um, that abuse and mistreat others to justice. And of course, when I grew up, I found that was the order of the day everywhere. When it comes to government, it is even worse. So yeah, I think mainly seeing so many injustices around me is what gave me this passion to say someone has to stand up against these injustices. Someone has to stand up and speak for people that have no voice.
So wonderful. I think also in Uganda there is still some laws that the government is practicing, like the media, social media center, the offensive communication, and also cybersecurity harassment. And so many activists have been ju- uh, judged by these laws. So how is this laws like affecting like the human rights abuse or violation to some activists in the country?
So we have the Constitution, the 1995 Constitution, which is the supreme law that is above these other laws, guarantees many of these rights. It's a progressive law. It gives freedom of expression and doesn't limit it at all. So these other laws that have come up later to gag, because the older, the longer the government we have, which has been in power since 1986, the longer it stays in power, the longer it feels the need to maybe keep their grip on power, which has bred a bit of gagging and infringement on these rights that are guaranteed by the Constitution. But we have pushed back against them. We have actually we have defeated some of them in court, and the court the court processes against these laws have been there for as far back as 20 years ago or longer, where journalists, especially those senior that were in this field before us, have challenged some of these draconian laws that infringe on the right of expression and the freedom of the press, and we have defeated them. But of course, the judiciary now also is increasingly a department we can't account on. So in some of the laws, we haven't really been successful. But there's been this pushback that even if you put up these laws, they have scared a few people, but others have remained steadfast in the fight. Of course, some activists have ended up in jail over that. There was one called Stella Nyanzi that was charged with cyber harassment. But most of us have continued to push back against them. And I think we shall defeat them one day with the power of the Constitution, like I told you, which there's no law that should supersede it. But of course, there are challenges in us trying to enforce the provisions of the Constitution. But there are so many people that are not backing down. And I think the more we are, the more the regime will understand that they will not gag us very easily. So yeah, we are still fighting and fighting. We win some, we lose some. Some of us have ended up in jail. Others, we are still lucky to still be here. So yeah, we are still trying to push the limits.
That's wonderful. You have just won the Women of Courage Award by the State Department 2024. What does that award mean for you? And 2023, we also get the European Union Human Rights Defender Awards. What are these awards mean to you?
They actually mean a lot. We work in very difficult circumstances, and we get frustrated. You get frustrated and say, "But is this even worth it? Shouldn't I just give up like many others? Am I the only one? Can I really change this country alone? Can I go up against these people who are so powerful and so cruel alone?" So those awards, first of all, give you that encouragement in terms of when you're running low on energy and you see people acknowledging your work and people saying it has helped bring about this and this impact, and saying we appreciate it and it is not in vain. That is the first step. That these awards give you the encouragement to move on, give you the strength to continue with this very difficult work that we do. But also, there's a bit of security they give you. When you are going up against maybe a president of the country, the Speaker of Parliament, maybe a Prime Minister, maybe commander of National Army, you are scared. And they really, really scare you. The country we work in thrives on intimidation. They have imposed a lot of fear on the population. But by you being awarded by the international community, it shows to those that are scaring you, are intimidating you, are harassing you, that the international community is watching. And I think it's the international community that they might maybe just a bit fear or listen to, or because you are already going against the law itself in your own country. Your only hope in protection is in other countries. So if those countries, if that international community is acknowledging your work, it gives you that that confidence that I probably now I am safer than I was before. Probably now, if I was arbitrarily illegally thrown into jail, there will be people speaking for me. And thirdly, it gives you good partnerships, people to work with, to collaborate with. The women you meet, you hear their stories. The women I met during the International Women of Courage Award, and you hear their stories, and maybe you bounce off each other ideas on how to go about this. Yeah, but also you meet people that will help you with the resources, and this work requires resources. You cannot do it without other people. You cannot do it without when you're not equipped. So yeah, those awards have helped in that way by opening doors, but also by telling the people that might have the resources to allocate to this work that yeah, this is someone you can trust. She has already done the work that speaks for itself through these acknowledgements and rewards. So yeah, it was a very long way in this fight.
So yeah, I just want to know how your vision in using these resources and the knowledge that you and experience that you have gained with the young women back in Uganda and also the youth. How will you be implementing that knowledge?
Um, well, I am trying to bring on board as many people as I can. I believe in the power of numbers. It's like the more we are, the more successful the fight can become. But also maybe the quicker we will achieve, we will have some achievements for that. And also the more we see what's happening in other countries. I'm seated here in Kampala. I might not be able to know what's happening in the countryside, and the injustices start from there. So yeah, my role is to encourage people, inspire them. I feel honored every time I receive those messages a lot. We have been inspired to speak up. We have been inspired to. That's a good thing. I would like to sort of liberate Ugandans from that fear bondage that we are held captive in, where people think they don't have a right to speak up against how their resources are utilized. They don't have a right to speak up against how their rights are taken. We have people that have been in jail for a long time. We have people that are in detention without trials. So yeah, when I hear people say you have encouraged us, and I think that award also encourages them further that the benefits when you speak up further outweigh the maybe the risks, so that there are more gains than losses in that. I undertake to inspire and mentor, but also train those that I can with the resources, if the resources allow, train those that I can on how to go about this. We live in the era of misinformation and disinformation. You want people that can uh, have this sort of that are committed to the truth, that are committed to the truth, that committed to sort of debunking disinformation and misinformation, but also on how to go about it. That's how I would like to pass on this information, experience, and knowledge to these other people. But like I say, that's a function of resources to go around looking, identifying people, to train them. It's a function of resources. But I am willing to do it. I attend so many events that I am invited upon to talk to young people. I've been invited to universities. I've been invited to Rotaract clubs of young people. I've been invited to all sorts of places to speak to young journalists. So that one I do. I hope I can do it on a larger scale.
Wonderful. So I think currently Uganda is the fifth country that is hosting refugees, and the first country in East Africa that are hosting over 1,463 million refugees from the neighborhood countries. How is this refugees crisis affecting the country infrastructure? And what do you think, in your opinion, the long-term solution to eliminate or to end this crisis?
Well, so Uganda is short on resources for even its 45. Yeah, for now we think 45, but the census that is coming up this week will tell us how many exactly. But yeah, the resources it has are not enough for even its citizens. The infrastructure, I don't know if you've heard about the potholes in Kampala. There are no more roads in Kampala. The hospitals, the hospitals are few, the doctors are few, the medicines in the hospitals are never there. So when you add over 1 million people, the infrastructure in those refugee hosting communities is overwhelmed even further. And you're not even giving them a good life. You're just, maybe providing land where they are putting camps, but they are not living a quality life. I think that Uganda should look into its refugee policies and budget better, but also maybe find allies. I would never say they should turn away refugees. It's commendable that Uganda does that. But the other biggest problem in that area is corruption. That the refugee crisis has become a money-making uh, venture for the corrupt politicians. That even the money that comes in meant for the refugees is not managed well, is not accounted for. So I think what the government needs to do is look into that, look into its policies, but also look into accountability for the resources that are meant to go to the refugee hosting countries or that are meant to benefit the refugees. But yeah, for you as a country to keep pretending that you are, the biggest refugee hosting country when you're not giving these refugees a life that is, you know, much better than where they came from, I don't think it makes a lot of sense. I think we need to look into that and look into really accountability. There's a problem of accountability in this country. Leaders do not want to be accountable. Us who have been pushing to try and hold them accountable are labeled agents of imperialists and homosexuals because they just are not used to being questioned about these things. And that is affecting a lot the refugee hosting countries. I don't know if you've heard about the many scandals, corruption scandals that have hit the office of the Prime Minister in Uganda, where the refugee ministry sits. So it's on one hand commendable that we have a government that is welcoming to people that need shelter and need where to settle. But on the other, it's a bit depressing that they probably do that because they know they will get a way of getting more money to steal. But yeah, we could do better on that.
Okay, cool. I think also when we talk about corruptions and also the foreign aid that Uganda is receiving, especially from the US. And last month, just some of Ugandan citizens and in Washington D.C. have protested during the World Bank IMF summit, summer summit. Uh, Also, Uganda has a debt of 25.3 billion to the World Bank. Just want to know that about the foreign policy and the funding that the country is receiving, and also solving the corruption issue in the country itself, how that can be done.
Our country, our government itself, has no willingness to fight corruption. It thrives on corruption. I can tell you about so many MPs, I mean, so many politicians, ministers, MPs that have been involved in corruption. But the president never even fires them. Those that have been censured by parliament, sometimes he refuses to still, work on parliament's recommendations. Or sometimes he just recycles them back in the next cabinet. So there's no incentive to stop being corrupt in this country. People have gotten corrupt and gotten away with it in broad daylight. There's no incentive at all, and everyone thinks you can only make it by being corrupt. So it's the order of the day. We have been trying. So to start with, our government is not interested in fighting corruption. When I and the people I work with have tried to use social media to sort of shed light on this corruption in many institutions, the latest was Parliament. We, like I told you, the Speaker of Parliament accused us of being agents of imperialists, and they supported her and said, yeah, and said the Speaker is not the enemy, but the but those but us who are calling her out and saying we are the agents of imperialists and homosexuals. So this is a president that everything I was writing about, every information I shared about how resources are utilized in Parliament, an arm of the government that is supposed to allocate resources and approve the budget. Every information I shared, the president had it. I know that for a fact. I know that his intelligence has given him reports of how that parliament is run, of how resources are misused. But for him to come out and not even call any government agency, and you know how many anti-graft agencies we have in this country? There are so many. Apart from the courts, we have an anti-corruption court, we have the Inspector General of Government, we have so many, there are like 10. But none of them picked up information we were sharing, information people that work in Parliament were sharing to say, let's investigate this. No. They were all waiting for the president to work on it, and the president, when he spoke, when he was visiting the Speaker of Parliament's village, where she comes from, where she had used some of the money she's been stealing to build a teaching hospital, he said that us who are writing about what the Speaker is doing and how she is utilizing taxpayers' money are the real enemies of this country, because we are agents of imperialists and homosexuals. I was really, really demoralized on the point of giving up, but recently sanctions came from the UK against the Speaker. And we thought, yeah, we have a government that doesn't care about us. So if we have the international community that cares enough to sort of make these people a bit uncomfortable, to say that no, what you did is not right, and there has to be consequences for it. We become happy, even if they are calling us agents of imperialists. Anyone would be happy if a neighbor did what their father at home refuses to do, or if their father is abusing and mistreating them and the neighbor comes to their rescue. So yeah, I think it's only the international community now that can come in, look into the money they are giving them and say you are misusing these monies, these funds, whether loan or grant, and we are not giving it to you until you account for what you have got before. Because the amount you talk of, if the World Bank came and asked about the infrastructure that amount has gone into, it's not there. So we hope that the international community, and that's the thing in this country, when the government is dealing with the international community, they call them our development partners. But when us who are criticizing them and questioning them are dealing with the international community, that's when the international community is called Western foreign interest, imperialists, whatever, and we are accused of aligning with them. Yeah, if I bring to you information that the leaders we put in power are corrupt, are stealing money meant for children that are dying of starvation in Karamoja, and you don't act, I am going to be happy that that the imperialists have acted, even if that's what you want to call them, when it is convenient for you. So the same development partners should ask these tough questions, should make sure there are consequences for that. And I'm happy with the start for now.
I think what you're mentioning here is a challenge, because how can you change the scenario
Mm-hmm.
for the citizens and for the government themselves and tell them, no, I'm also a partner, a person that is working with you for a better Uganda?
Well, you cannot change it when they are just saying it not because they don't know any better, but as a way of deflecting. So you cannot change it. You just have to keep doing what you're doing. It's not a crime for me to partner with anyone, you know. They can run that propaganda, but I think eventually the Ugandans see through it.
Some activists and also who are asking for sanction as part of solving the problem of corruption and human rights violation in Uganda. What do you think about that?
Sorry. I
The,
wanted to make sure that
the
someone knows.
sanctions, some activists are calling for sanction, individual sanctions for some government officials who have violated human rights and also human rights abuse and also corruption. What do you think on that?
No, I am one of those activists. Very much. I was telling you about corruption, that if the government doesn't want to address it, we will be happy if someone else comes to our aid and maybe not address it. I don't believe in foreigners solving for us our problems, but I believe that they can play a role in putting pressure on this government. Like I said, um, these uh, these are countries that have supported Uganda's budget by over 70%. They have said in how that money is utilized. They should precondition that money into saying, let's first get accountability for the previous money. If that is not there, the sanctions should ensure that if someone misused money and your courts did not, your authorities did not hold them accountable, we are going to sanction them. Same applies to human rights abuses. We have written about them. We have written about people that have tortured Ugandans, those that have kidnapped them, and they call it arrest, but they are kidnapped. We used to have, during the elections that ended about 2-3 years ago, we used to have drones. The cars we called drones, they were numberless. They would pick up people. Some of those people have never resurfaced. And then people that do that are there. So if government does not, I will give you an example. There's a boxer that was shot at close range and killed in 2020 in December from his house. And the president came on TV and said, I am told Zebra was killed by my people. Up to now, the president has never arraigned those people of his that killed him in cold blood so that they pay. We will be happy if those people are sanctioned, because here we failed to get any reliefs for the family of Zebra and other people that were killed and other people that are still rotting in jail. So I support that a lot. Otherwise, there's nothing that is going to stop this government from continuing to abuse people's rights, killing them extrajudicially, and locking them away for as long as they want. We have 32 members of the National Unity Platform, the biggest opposition party now, that have been in jail since 2021. They have never been tried. They are being arraigned in the military court, and they are civilians. You ask, why are they in the military court? No one will answer that question. They have been denied bail. So if our government doesn't want to give us any answers about that, we will turn to the international community and say, please help us on this. Can you also use whatever power you have to help us ensure that these guys are answering for their actions? So yeah, I support the sanctions very much. I can't wait for all of them to be sanctioned.
So we take in um, the big problem I think that Uganda is facing, the Homosexuality Act, the Anti-Homosexuality Act that was passed by the Parliament in March 2023, criminalizing it, and then also by the law. How is
Mhm.
the Homosexuality Act and also these groups of the minority groups who are facing this human rights abuse?
Mm.
It's a major problem, I think, now in Uganda, and every citizen is concerned about it. How do the activists addressing these issues?
Citizens are not concerned about it because not many citizens are concerned about it. We live in a very homophobic society, and that's why our politicians thought it's the most urgent issue to address. You know, you have a citizenry that is very ignorant about the subject, and you have politicians that are also ignorant themselves, but also want to use that as a political tool. So it's worrying for a few, for the LGBTQ community itself, for the human rights activists, but also, well, yeah, there are those that call themselves human rights activists, but they are selective in which rights they are advocating for. I have seen many human rights activists in civil society just keeping quiet about this anti-homosexuality thing because they are homophobic themselves. So you have just a few people fighting to try and push back against this, and that's why we didn't succeed in Parliament. That's why we didn't succeed in the courts of law, and even on that, I think the international community might want to step in because it's really really problematic that you are going to start criminalizing people and sentencing them to death because of their sexual orientation. We have continued to push. The people that went to court want to appeal. I don't have much faith in the appeal, but I think for us we will continue to try and sensitize the masses about it. I kept asking people that the parliament is telling people we are protecting our children, and we have no single case of a child that was raped by a homosexual. But we have so many cases. The police report has so many cases of defilement and rape done by heterosexuals. And I kept asking, so which children are they caring for if they are not caring about? Because for them, a girl of 12 raped by, it's not outrageous. It's okay. You have teenage pregnancies that are like in their thousands and hundreds of thousands, and they are not asking about that, but they have in their minds that they are children, the boys really, because like in this debate you see the patriarchy at play as well. When they are talking about children, they are talking about boys. When you ask them, what about the people that are defining that children? What about the teenage pregnancies we have speaking about? They say that's okay. But how is that okay if you are caring about the well-being of children, the welfare of children? And the children you're trying to protect from and homosexuality, where is this alarm coming from? Do we have any report that shows that there are boys that boys have been defiled, sodomized, that you have to come up with the law and make it such an urgent issue and pass it in such a rush without even looking at it carefully to understand what that means? Well, some of the clauses the court notified them, but that was not enough. It was really not enough. I am waiting to see how they will enforce how they will enforce that law, how they will follow people to their rooms and private homes to see whether a woman is having sexual relations with a fellow man or a man same with another man. So I think after the Supreme Court also addresses it, we shall just wait for enforcement and condemn in each case as it comes. There's nothing else we can do. I think the international community lost it a bit there when they started only showing a strong stance when it comes to homosexuality. It made that narrative that they are imposing, it sort of reinforced that narrative that they are imposing their sexual behaviors and their cultures on us, because we needed them to take the same stance when people are killed on the streets of Kampala for protesting peacefully. We need them to take the same stance when 32 people are in jail unlawfully for 3 years without a trial. So that narrative, that propaganda that, oh, withdrawn their aid because we pass homosexuality, because we want to protect our values and whatever, is not given any credence. But yeah, for us as activists, we now the court party is failing. We will wait and try and fight for the victims on a case-by-case basis when the enforcement of the law begins. Yeah, me as a journalist, I will document them. We are even now here at AGORA on a story about people that have been affected by the passing of the law. Those that have been chased out of their houses, that have been chased out of their communities, those that are being targeted and harassed. Yeah.
So I saw this like wonderful program you have in Agora, your organization, using the digital media to tell the story, using art, the online exhibit and reporting. Just when would that be possible for Uganda to be like leading in this industry, this amazing work you are doing in your organization now?
Oh, you're asking whether it will be possible to achieve.
Yeah, the programs that you have in your organization now and using the digital media to tell the scenario, to report. Yeah, will it be possible one day for the majority of the country,
Yeah,
like to
yeah,
have these skills?
I think so. I think it's achieving much more than I expected. When we did the campaign against the campaign on parliament, corruption in parliament, I was saying about that we named the parliament exhibition. It reached everywhere. So what we do sometimes picks up so much attention, and this is relayed on mainstream media, radios. Radio is still the biggest source of news. So it reached everywhere. It reached in the countryside. I can say we are reaching more people than maybe any other medium, any other platform has ever done. And that's a good start, that you're informing people about what's happening, that they are trying to understand what's at stake. They are trying to understand what type of leaders they have. And yeah, I think that's a good start. I think information is a very big tool. That's why I concentrate on it. Give people the information, give it to them until they have enough to say no, enough is enough. Yeah.
Cool. Finally, the geopolitical location of Uganda and also its membership in the East African country, does it make it a good ground for change?
Mm, um, I don't think so. It makes it a bit difficult. The President Museveni is referred to as the big brother of the region. He's the peace pacifier, he's the peacemaker. He's the one that intervenes in Sudan or South Sudan, in Somalia, in the DRC. Many, including the international community, have seen him as someone who can make the region peaceful. So he has so many allies and makes other people hesitant to change. And they say, well, this person has brought about peace and ensured that each country is relatively stable. Yeah, it makes it hard, not easy.
Will we be witnessing a younger person to be the president of Uganda soon?
I think I don't know how soon, but I think sooner or later President Museveni will have to give up because of age. I think he's now in his 80s, but by sooner or later, I say maybe 10 years. He's still here for 10 years, considering how long Mugabe went in Zimbabwe. I mean, how long he ran for in Zimbabwe up to 92 or something. Um, if we were to have a free and fair election in this country, yeah, we probably would have a younger person taking over, but that's not possible. We don't have elections in this country. What happens is just a sham for someone to legitimize their stay in power. And he's also trying to position his son to take over. His son is 50 years old. Maybe, yeah, when considering that our current president is 80, 50 is very young. We are I'm not sure there are many Ugandans that are happy with that. I am not happy with that myself and many other people I know. I don't know what will happen when he succeeds in imposing him on us. I don't know if Ugandans will be up in arms or if they will stay as dormant as most of the time they are and just complain but do nothing. But yeah, maybe that's the only chance there will be at a younger president in the near future, a younger leader. Honorable Chagulanyi stands a very high chance. Honorable Robert Chagulanyi, also known as Bob Wine, who is the current most popular opposition leader. But like I've told you, that chance I mean, it went away because of the state machinery. They have killed his supporters, they have arrested some, they have really demobilized him and rigged the elections. And this election rigging thing is not something I'm just saying. The courts have pronounced themselves more than twice that the elections were not free and fair. But yeah, so yeah, it's hard to have hope of having a younger leader anytime soon.
Oh, thank you so much, Agatha,
Thank you.
for this wonderful conversation. Thank you for
Thank you, ma'am.
explaining the situation in Uganda and also the future challenges and opportunities. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day. See you soon.
You too.
Keep up the
Okay.
good work.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, dear viewers, for joining us for today's episode and watching the Four Direction. I was hosted. My guest was Agatha Atuhaire. She's a human rights advocate and also a journalist from Uganda. She's one of the awardee of a Woman of Courage Award 2024 from Uganda. We discuss and talk more about the role of law, the government, and in Uganda and the future of democracy and how it will take to shape young leadership in Uganda. Is finished. I'm going to conclude here. Still send us your suggestions about what you think about how change will come in Uganda. Is it possible for change to come, and what it takes young people to work together through democracy?